Hey guys, it's T. Mitchell from Traveler's Cart, and we just wanted to give a huge thank you to Rice University for always supporting local Houston restaurants. Today, Morgan and I are delivering a big catering order to the university. Let us take you behind the scenes.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me here at 9 o'clock. I'm Anthony Antoine. Tonight, we are learning more about the family killed in a suspected murder-suicide in River Oaks. Family identified the father as 52-year-old Matthew Mitchell, the mother as 39-year-old Thea Mitchell, and their two kids, an 8-year-old girl and a 4-year-old boy, who were both.
Let me tell you about a woman who had everything, and I mean everything. Thy Mitchell was living the kind of life people make vision bored about. She grew up in Houston as a first-generation Vietnamese American, helping her grandmother and mother run their small Vietnamese restaurant on weekends as a little girl. She learned early what hard work looked like. She learned early what hospitality felt like. And she took both of those lessons and built something extraordinary with them. By the time most people in Houston knew her name, Thy was a powerhouse. She had 2 degrees, one from the University of Houston, one from Penn State. She had worked HR for 3 Fortune 500 companies in hospitality and retail. She was co-owner of not one, but 2 well-loved Houston restaurants, Traveler's Table and Traveler's Cart, both of which have been featured on the Food Network. She had just launched a clothing line called Foreign Fare with her husband in 2023. And in 2025, she and her husband were named Restaurateurs of the Year by the Texas Restaurant Association's Houston chapter. Just a week before she died, she hosted a board of directors meeting at Traveler's Table with over 50 fellow restaurateurs in attendance. Craig Howard, the local association president, said afterward, and I want you to hear this. He said, "We saw such a bright star with Thy." A bright star. That is exactly what she was. She had an 8-year-old daughter named Maya, a 4-year-old son named Max, and she was pregnant. Thy Mitchell had a husband, a growing family, 2 thriving businesses, a clothing line, a seat on a board, and a baby on the way. From the outside, this was a love story, a success story, the kind of story you tell your kids when you want them to believe that hard work pays off. But something was very wrong behind closed doors. And nobody, not her colleagues, not her community, not even her sister, saw it coming. If this is your first time on this channel, welcome to Shadow Crime. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and click the bell icon so you never miss a story like this one. These are the cases that don't always make the national headlines the way they should, and your support is what keeps this going. Now, let's get back to Thy. Her husband, Matthew Mitchell, was 52 years old, and on paper, he was just as impressive as she was. He had a bachelor's degree from Emory University. He had studied in France, Italy, and at Oxford University in England. He had worked as a journalist in London, Paris, and New York. He had come back to Texas, gone through Rice University's business school, and eventually became the president and CEO of a pharmaceutical clinical research company called the Texas Center for Drug Development. 14 years in pharma, and then he walked away. He enrolled in culinary school, got a degree in culinary arts, and opened Traveler's Table.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me here at 9 o'clock. I'm Anthony Antoine. Tonight, we are learning more about the family killed in a suspected murder-suicide in River Oaks. Family identified the father as 52-year-old Matthew Mitchell, the mother as 39-year-old Thea Mitchell, and their 2 kids, an 8-year-old girl and a 4-year-old boy, who were both shot and killed as well. Fox 26's Jillian Hartman is joining us now live in Montrose outside of the restaurant the couple owns. So, Jillian, what is the latest here tonight?
That's right. So Matthew and T. Mitchell owned the Traveler's Cart and Traveler's Table here in Montrose, and the restaurant opened as normal today following this tragedy. I did go inside talking to some employees. They did decline to comment at this time, but like you just mentioned, the couple was very well known in the Houston area. Take a look at this video. So the couple actually participated in Houston Restaurant Weeks, and they actually appeared on Fox 26 in the past talking about the restaurant. Houston police say the babysitter and a family member called for a welfare check after they had not heard from the family since Sunday. Officers found the family dead inside their home along Kingston Street near Avalon Place around 5:30 p.m. Monday, where there's now a growing memorial outside. Police say the father shot the mother and both children before taking his own life. safe. The Houston Fire Department says the kids were found in their beds and the mother was pregnant. It's a heartbreaking case. This happened just days before Mother's Day. T had recently become a board member of the Greater Houston chapter of the Texas Restaurant Association. The chair said he was shocked when he heard the news, and he knew T and says this is a devastating loss. Take a listen.
It's just devastating. I've known the Mitchells a couple years, and just to think that this type of violence is taking place right now in our society, and just great people and great restaurants. It's just been recent, but I guess a week ago Wednesday, she organized or allowed us to come to her restaurant for the monthly board meeting, which she sat through. And then afterwards, we had a social. But it's interesting because while we were sitting there in the board meeting, I was looking across the table. And, as one of the leaders right now, I thought to myself, there's somebody across the table who's going to be an up and coming leader in our association. And I could actually see her as the chairman one day. She really stood out to me as somebody who was just willing to do what it took to help the community, help her association.
Jillian, have you been able to learn more about the kids? We're still thinking about those two kids, just 4 and 8 years old.
Yeah, it's just tragic. So I did learn that the 8-year-old went to River Oaks Elementary, and the Houston Independent School District sent a letter out to families about this devastating loss, and they say there's actually on-site support for those impacted by this tragedy. Anthony.
And Jillian, earlier today we heard from friends and family that loved the couple, the kids, and we also heard today from people who knew them on a professional level. So have investigators been able to pin down a motive here or a timeline, because all indications point to a very successful family?
That's right. We know that police continue to investigate, and they're still trying to determine a motive. I know that's still a big question right now. Now, as I was reaching out to folks today in the restaurant community, one woman actually told me that T emailed her Sunday night around 8:40 p.m. about an upcoming chef event that was for the World Cup, just spotlighting Houston diverse restaurants. So that was an interesting information that she shared with me, because now we know it appears that the shooting may have occurred between 8:40 p.m. Sunday night and before officers arrived on scene around 5:30 p.m. Monday. Anthony?
Jillian Hartman reporting for us live outside of one of the restaurants the couple owned here tonight in Montrose. Jillian, thank you so much.
Now I need you to think about that for a second. This is a man who spoke multiple languages, lived across multiple continents, ran a pharmaceutical company, then walked away from all of it to open a restaurant with his wife. They traveled together to Morocco, France, and dozens of other countries, researching food, tasting everything, building a menu that reflected the whole world. Thai said it herself in a 2024 interview with the Houston Chronicle. She said, "We didn't always speak the language of places we traveled to, but we always had food in common." That line right there, food in common, that was their foundation. That was their love language. And listen, their restaurants were not just good, they were celebrated. Traveler's Table was featured on Guy Fieri's diners, drive-ins, and dives. They appeared on Beat Bobby Flay. They were on Guy's grocery games. Their second restaurant, Traveler's Cart, opened in 2024. They had momentum. They had community. They had a brand that was only getting bigger. So here's what I need you to sit with right now. No domestic violence calls. Ever. Not a single one linked to their home. No civil lawsuits. No criminal investigations attached to either of them. Their colleagues described them as energetic, creative, deeply involved in the Houston dining community. Their publicist called Thy a devoted mother and businesswoman. A friend said she was a ray of light. Even the people closest to them had absolutely no idea anything was wrong. That is what makes this case so deeply unsettling. On the night of Sunday, May 3rd, 2026, the Mitchell family went silent. No calls, no texts, no social media activity. Nobody thought much of it at first. But by Monday evening, two people had grown worried enough to act. The family's babysitter and Dice's sister both tried reaching them. Nothing. so they called the police. Houston police responded to a welfare check at the family's home on Kingston Street in the River Oaks neighborhood at around 5:26 p.m. on May 4th, 2026. River Oaks, by the way, is one of the most affluent neighborhoods in all of Houston. This is a $1.2 million home in a quiet, wealthy area where nothing like this is supposed to happen. Officers entered the residence and found 4 people. All 4 were unresponsive. All 4 had gunshot wounds to the head. Maya, 8 years old, was found dead in her bed. Max, 4 years old, was found dead in his bed. Those babies never even had a chance to run. They were asleep. I want you to really let that land. Those children were in their beds, tucked in, and that is where they were found. Thy Mitchell, 39 years old and pregnant, was also dead, and Matthew Mitchell, 52, was dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The Harris County Institute of Forensic Sciences later confirmed it officially. Thy, Maya, and Maxwell's deaths were ruled homicides. Matthew's death was ruled a suicide. The evidence at the scene, according to Houston police, indicated that Matthew shot his wife and both children before turning the gun on himself. The motive? Nobody knows. Houston police have not released one. No note has been made public. No financial records pointing to crisis. No fight. No public argument. Nothing. Just silence. The same silence the babysitter got when she tried to call that Monday. And that silence is the loudest part of this entire story.
A memorial is growing for a mother and her 2 young children, the victims of a triple murder-suicide in River Oaks. Investigators say 52-year-old Matthew Mitchell shot and killed his wife, T., their 8-year-old daughter, and 4-year-old son before then turning the gun on himself. Police found the family yesterday during a welfare check. The Mitchells were the owners of the popular restaurants, the Traveler's Table and Traveler's Cart.
Yeah, but tonight we're learning more about the wife's impact on the community that went beyond the family business. Annihilator Ruiz has the story from River Oaks tonight. Annihilator?
Well, guys, the restaurant community, just like you mentioned, is just in shock. We're talking chefs, foodies, everyone who knew the couple, but also the local fashion community. See, T. Mitchell, she actually had her own clothing line.
I want to revisit your story.
In a Great Day Houston interview last year, Matthew and T. Mitchell were sharing their new venture, Traveler's Cart. But beyond business, they also opened up about their relationship.
How did you 2 meet?
We actually met through a friend of my wife's.
Their love story, more than a decade of marriage and 2 young children, but tragically that changed Monday night when police say Matthew shot his 4-year-old son, his 8-year-old daughter, his wife T, before killing himself. For those who knew the family, this was devastating.
I was in shock. And the reason I really am in shock is because I knew both her husband and T and her children.
Gloria says she met T when she launched her clothing line in 2023.
She was a professional, amazing to work with, and she had a vision.
Just last year, T spoke about her passion on Great Day Houston.
And it's wrinkle resistant and easy to pack, so all those things were considered when making like a style and chic travel clothing line.
It was that passion and creativity that left a lasting impression on those around her.
I admired her intelligence, her creativity, her honesty, which she was very honest, and she had a fun side, and I will miss that.
A legacy she leaves behind not only in the Houston's restaurant scene, but also in its growing fashion community.
Now, T's sister did share a message on social media saying their family is heartbroken and grieving and is asking for privacy at this time. Reporting live, Annihilator Ruiz, KHOU 11 News.
Such a loss in so many ways. All the contributions that she made as a Houstonian and a businesswoman as well, just devastating. Annihilator.
Now here is where it gets even more haunting. Thy sister, Mai, posted on Facebook after the news broke. She wrote, "We are heartbroken to share that my sister, Thy, and her beloved children, Maya and Max, passed away last night. She did not mention Matthew. She did not mention how they died. She just said they were gone and asked for privacy. And honestly, I think that says everything about how this family is processing what happened. Because how do you even begin to explain something like this to the world? The Houston hospitality community was absolutely devastated. Emily Williams Knight, the president and CEO of the Texas Restaurant Association, released a statement that said, "To say that thy will be missed is an understatement. We will remember thy as a ray of light who inspired everyone around her." 50 restaurateurs had just been in her restaurant the week before, laughing and eating and celebrating the community she helped build. And within days, they were leaving flowers outside her front door. Traveler's Table and Traveler's Cart released their own statement, saying they would remain open to honor the legacy that I built. The staff showed up to work through their grief, because that is the kind of place I created, a place people felt connected to, a place people felt at home in. And now the woman who built it was gone, along with her daughter, her son, and her unborn child. Here is what gets me the most about this case, and I really want to hear what you think about this in the comments. Matthew Mitchell was not some struggling, desperate man with nothing left to lose. This was an educated, well-traveled, accomplished man who had reinvented himself multiple times over. Journalist, pharmaceutical CEO, culinary school graduate, restaurant owner. He had every resource, every connection, every opportunity to ask for help if something was falling apart in his life. And yet, instead of reaching out, instead of walking away, instead of doing literally anything else, he made the worst possible choice. And 4 people who had nothing to do with whatever was destroying him from the inside paid for it with their lives. Di was pregnant. She was carrying their 3rd child. And she never got the chance to meet that baby. Maya was 8 years old, probably thinking about school and her friends. Max was 4, probably still at the age where everything is an adventure. None of them deserved what happened in that house. And now I want to leave you with the questions that I cannot stop thinking about, because I think they matter. What was happening inside that marriage that nobody on the outside could see? Was I aware that something was wrong, or did this come completely out of nowhere for her too? What does it say about us as a society that a man can be surrounded by community, success, and family and still carry something so dark and so destructive completely alone? And the biggest question of all, who was Matthew Mitchell when nobody was watching? Because the man the world saw and the man who walked into those bedrooms on the night of May 3rd were clearly not the same person. Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to know what you think happened behind those closed doors. And if this story hit you the way it hit me, please make sure you like this video, subscribe to Shadow Crime, and click that bell icon so you're notified every time we drop a new case. These stories deserve to be told. Di deserved so much more than the ending she got, and the least we can do is make sure her name is never forgotten.